Good evening, everybody. We are here with Creative Partner Mary Snyder. She is going to be playing with our newest accessory set, Gingerbread. We're so excited to have this release going on. Our winter release just launched today for Kiwi Club members. It features a new accessory set, which is Gingerbread. It features a new a la carte, which is Nativity. Idea book number 4, which is full of sketches, and then placemats number 3. So we're so happy to have you here. Mary is going to introduce herself real quick, and we'll wait for some comments to come in.
Okay, I've got to figure out how to get my comments on here.
Well, everyone, thanks for joining. I'm going to be posting the link in this chat that has, if you're an active Kiwi Club member, you can shop the new release today. So hopefully you're inspired and feeling ready to jump into the holiday spirit with this craft. And we're really excited about it. Plus, Mary always does beautiful work. So I can't wait for her to show you guys what she created. Mary, do you see any comments?
I'm on my phone and I don't see the comments on my phone, but I've never done this on my phone. So maybe you can tell me where I go on my phone to get the comments. Wait, yeah. I got them. Oh, I got them.
Good.
There you go.
Perfect. Okay, well, I am going to let you take over, Mary.
And okay.
Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. I see Kylie and Linda Lou and Amy and Debbie and let me see who else. Kimberly here we have, Janelle. Let's see, Deborah, Sheena. Welcome, guys. Becky. It's good to see all of you. And I'm excited about this new accessory set. How many of you have ordered it already before you've only seen a glimpse of it? Have you, a bunch of you ordered it already? Let's see. All right, Deetra got hers. Hi, Red Poppy. Hi, Angela. Leanne from Leah. Is it Leah or Leanne from Oklahoma? Pat from Pittsburgh. Tina Van. Jean, all these people. We are in love with the gingerbread accessory set. You're right. I think this is going to be one of my favorites. I don't know if you all saw the release party, the new release party, but this was one of the projects that I did for it. And it was a layout and it actually came together really fast. Like Susan had explained on the retake of the video, that this was my practice gingerbread that I did. So, you know, to just do it the first time and it come out like that, I thought that was pretty impressive that you could, there isn't much instruction, I don't think, that you need. It's just just learning to play with it. This is the gingerbread house and this is the stencil that I used. And then along with that set comes a lot of little pieces. I think there's 8 pieces total. I didn't get to play with the cookies, but we can try and make one today. It came with a star cookie. I did play with the candy cane. Then there's a glove cookie, mitten. I did play with the gingerbread man or the woman, as we can call her. Then there's the candy. I did not play with any of these yet. I haven't even touched them. So today we're going to concentrate on the gingerbread house, and we can make a couple of the gingerbread men. But if you want, I will show this to you up closer. I don't know if there's a shadow on there, if it's blurry. As you can see, what I wanted to point out, what I used, my materials that I used. It looks like I'm going to be missing. Okay. Going to miss some comments. Thank you guys. Just ordered it. Betsy, hi Betsy. Your order shipped. Okay, good. I think they're gonna, I'm not gonna say they're gonna run out. I hope they ordered plenty, but I think this is gonna be a popular accessory set. Especially you can use this for the holidays, and you can use it on your layouts, you know, for something else. You could make it, I guess, into like I would assume you could make like a cabin house for in the woods, or, you know, you can put this with your trolls and your mushrooms with your hedgehog templates and all that. I think that would be really cute. But getting back to the materials that I used on this particular gingerbread house was I used brown craft paper as my base. And then I used a white jelly roll pen. If any of you have never used this, I've had the best of luck with white pens with this one in particular. They come in different sizes, and this is a 10, and that's what I used. And then I used some little red rhinestones, which I'll get out in a second. And I used my vintage photo distress ink, and I used some glitter paper and some regular pattern paper, and that's it, and a pencil and scissors. So what my plan was going to do was I was going to show you how I came about this, and I was also going to show you a couple of cards I just dabbled with last night, literally like at 11 o'clock at night. And I thought, maybe let me try this. I had something in mind that was simple. And what it was is a card, a Christmas card. It's not craft paper, but it's close enough. And basically what I did was I just traced it and added my stencil, you know, for the roof with my white pen. And I just put Nuvo drops on top. I don't know if we can see that. They're glitter Nuvo drops for the dots, kind of like on the other house. And instead of cutting out pieces like I did on this house for the windows, I just drew in with my white pen and then put a red enamel dot in the center of them. And then I used I had the template here. Is it Frolic? I think I'll find it. Yeah, I used Frolic 1A and made a snowdrift for the bottom of the card and just tied some red twine on it. So this was actually a pretty simple card that you can do while you're watching TV. I mean, and we'll go over that more in detail. The same type of thing, but this time, instead of making little dots on the joist for the roof, I just went over it with stickles, which I don't know if you can see. Again, do you see the stickles a little bit on the roof? And there you go, see it. And then I just again added an enamel dot for the doorknob and put a snowdrift from Frolic again. And that was Frolic 1A. But again, just a very simple, and I just tied some old string yarn that I had. And that was one way where you can just do the house directly on top of the paper. Nothing really to cut out except the snowdrift. The rest is just drawn on that paper. Same thing with this, with a couple Nuvo drops and the enamel dots. So let's make one of these these houses for you. And what I have is, let me see where I put that paper. Right here. I actually have a card base, but we'll just do it we'll just do it like we did on the stencil, and I'll show you how I came about doing it. So I just took my gingerbread house, and the first thing I did was I traced it with those cards. You can go about with your white pen if you'd like tracing it, but that white pen tends to stay wet a little longer, so you've got to be careful. So I'm just going to show you how I did the house, and then I'm going to show you how I did it on the other card. And as far as this goes, I just made light pencil marks for the roof, because these are guidelines that I'm using to put the shutters, or not the shutters, the shingles on. So these are just guidelines for me, so I don't go past it with the shingles. Okay, so the next thing I did, I knew I wasn't going to use these windows, so I left them blank. And then I traced where the door would go, and I traced this bottom part of the house. And that's where I'm going to cut out paper. Let me see, I moved it a little bit. I'm going to cut out pattern paper. I keep moving it. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my stencil, and I'm going to take these big scallops that are up top, and I'm going to follow these lines that are on the inside of the stencil, this line and this line, and I'm going to make these scallops by tracing them, you know, going across, skipping this part of the house because we don't want that. And then that'll be like a guideline. And what you can do is you can kind of see through the top of the scallop, there's empty space. So you'll be able to see where this next row will go, because the loop, you'll line up with that. So I'm lining this up with the pencil mark from tracing it, you know, the outer part. So okay, let me see if we have any comments here. Don't mind me, I'm on my phone here. It's yeah, it would be a really cute kids playhouse also. Not Deech is not, you're not surprised I used rhinestones? Why is that? The Terry, the pen is a jelly roll, it's called. It's by Sakura, Sakura. Okay, so I don't know if you can see because it's kind of light, but let me see if I can get it. See, there's the first line of that, and I actually went over too far, but we're going to erase those pencil lines, anything that's showing later on, because you can erase it after the white dries from the white pen. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look for the bottom of that shingle, and you can see the bottom of it coming through the stencil, and we're going to alternate the scallops so they're not exactly under each other. we're going to move them over a little bit, and then we're going to find the pencil line from the previous one and just, I mean, you obviously can put them anywhere farther distance if you don't want to make so many shingles, but I liked that I could follow that. Now, if you can see, I alternated it, the pencil marks. Okay. Now we're getting to the point where we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to skip the part that's in the, this part of the roof. What do you call that? The, come on, people, help me out here. You know what that is? I don't. I do know. Let's see. I know this is lagging a little bit, but a truss, I'm not positive what it's called, but just so you know what I'm explaining here. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to do the next one, and then we're just going to continue that all the way down, leaving that middle part out. And if you happen to draw your pencil line on there, it's okay, because we're going to erase them afterwards. You're going to erase the pencil marks that you don't go over with your white pen, because that's what I found was the easiest to trace these pencil marks, especially your first one. Like I said, I experimented with using the white pen directly in on the stencil, and it works, but you have to wait for the pen to dry in between each layer, and who wants to do that? It's better to just work from your pencil and erase the pencil lines afterwards, I think, in my opinion. Okay, got one more line and then we're done. And this is probably the longest part right here. And like I said, you don't have to make as many shingles as I did. And in fact, I went all the way through the middle there, and I want to erase that. So I'm gonna, that's not even gonna, I don't even have to erase it. Look at that. We're gonna do the next part after we do this, the white part. So the next thing that I did was, you could work this way and just draw over the shingles going down. But I found, if you're right-handed, working from the bottom up alleviates your hand from getting wet from the pen, because this will be wet for a little bit. Not long, but for a little bit. So just go over your pencil marks and it will cover, the white pen covers your pencil marks, so you don't have to worry about that. And then just go to where those lines are for the roof, and make it as thick as you want. I mean, I'm doing this thin, not as thick as the house was. And you certainly can bring your pen in and trace in those shingles, but like I said, if they're wet, you can smear it and move it. Are there any comments? Let's see. Yes, this accessory set has 8 templates that come with it. They have several cookies that are shaped like a star and has a smaller shape inside that's like for the icing. So you can make, like cutout cookies, how they look. I mean, I think they would look neat with like some kind of glitter sprinkled on top, like you have those iced cookies with the colored sugar that you put on top at Christmas time. They would be pretty. Now, if you see, I only went halfway over because I'm going to come back over here and try not to get wet, get my hand with pen on it. Okay, let's see. These are not in a club. Anybody can get these templates. They're brand new. They're an accessory set. They are $15. They just came up for sale for club members today. But if you're not a club member, I believe that they become available the 5th. Today's the 2nd. I think they become available the 5th. It might be the 4th, but I think it's the 5th. Let's see. I didn't connect. Oh, there it is. And the white pen is just goes pretty smooth. And I've had other white pens, and this is the one I've had the best luck with. The tip doesn't dry out, and then it's hard to get them going again. And okay, so that's that part of the house. Okay, now this next part of the house, okay, would be, I'm going to bring these up a little bit higher because the roof is higher there. And now I'm going to do the next part, which is simple. We're going to cut out a piece of, we're going to get some pattern paper, and we're going to just trace, we're going to trace the body of the house. And we're going to use, going to trace these lines that are on here. And there's little spaces in between, just, when you go to cut, just to have, imagine that they're all connected there. There's not, you're not cutting that space out. Now it's kind of hard with pattern paper, but you can see it. And what I'm going to do is just cut around it first. And what I'm doing is just going to cut that shape. It doesn't really take that long, I guess. Everyone knows that I put a lot of detail in, but obviously if you have a different colored, if you have a marker, you could use a marker. You don't have to use the white pen. You don't have to do pencil mark first. I mean, it's made to use like a regular pen or pencil in there to trace those lines, but I thought the white on the on the craft paper would look like a gingerbread house. And so that's why I used my pencil first. And then this is almost done here. And then I will just come along and I will get my we'll ink this up. Any questions? Let's see. I got the sketchbook today, and that is nice, let me tell you. Now I can go through all the new templates and the books. I have them here, but let me go get through this, finish this, and then I will, I have to go in the other room and get my book because it just came today. but my other templates are here, the Nativity and placemats 4. No, it's placemats 3. Okay, so this piece is going to go right on top here where you have drawn your pencil marks. Okay, so I will just attach that. And then we can cut out one more piece. And that piece is the door. And see, I see where I didn't come all the way over to that. And if you don't, you can just connect it like that. And then the door, we'll just I have another piece of paper here. We'll make it out of the red, just plain old red. And there again, we just trace. That's how simple this is. I'm always nervous trying to cut fast on here. Ink it. There's the door. These are great to use up your scrap paper too, because they're not super huge pieces. Okay. And then what I did was, I'm going to do the windows next. And what I did was I used a punch instead of using the stencil. This is kind of big, so I used a 1-inch punch, and I cut it out of glitter paper. And I've got glitter paper here, but it's not the same, but that's okay. And just cut out 2 windows and I'll pop them on. Okay. And the other window is a smaller window, and I use glitter again. Okay. And then now this one, you don't have to do this, but I did. I actually trace all these pieces to the candy and I cut them out. I know, crazy, right? If you had paper that wasn't glitter, you could draw them on with a marker, but I'm only going to cut out one. And what I did was I just cut around in a circle, because that's what they're going to be, you know, the shape of it is going to be. And they weren't as hard as you think they might be to cut out. And then I just kind of cut into the middle. And there's the other one. And I did the same thing. It's not as hard as it looks. They're just tiny pieces. And this is if you want to use like the glitter like I was using. Let's see, do we have any more comments? Oh, well, let's see. I'm probably missing comments. Need to get the sketchbook. The new book is full of sketches. They are. And I love seeing Susan's family in all of these layouts. You know, her girls are going off on a missionary. They're going to be missionaries for 18 months. And it's just neat seeing her story through her eyes, you know, through her scrapbooking pages. Okay, so I have these 5 pieces. I'm not going to ink them, but what I'm going to show you is kind of like a little trick. You put this on top of, can you, let me move it up here. You put this on top of your circle you cut out. And what you can do is put just a drop of ink, drop of glue right in the center of that, those little spots that you just cut. This is just a little trick so you can get them lined up right. Okay, and then what I do is I take my tweezers, a couple things in here that I just go to all the time, and I take my piece and I just lay it in there. And then they're all just lined up the way they're supposed to be. Okay. And they're where they're supposed to be. And it doesn't take as long as you think. And do they have to be? So I lost one. Oh, here it is. And then the last one I did like that. Now I always take things and do things the long way, but there you go. There's that. And then I go and I just put a enamel dot in the center. And there you go. Now that one just fell off. Okay, so there you go. There's one of the windows. I'm not going to do the other window, but you can see how that was done. And then the story with this, because I want it to look like that window on top, but I like the glitter on it. What I do is I punch out another circle, a different color, a different pattern, and I trim it all around just a little bit because we want it smaller than that. And if I had another punch, then I would do that. But I just want it smaller than that window because I want it to I want to see the glitter on the side. So that's a little bit smaller. And then I cut it almost in half. And then I cut a little bit off that. And then I cut that almost in half. This is the details that I do. And if you're interested, obviously, I'm just showing you how I did it. Same thing, I don't cut all the way to the middle because I'm going to cut a little bit off. And then the same thing, I'm just going to put 4 dots of glue. Okay, and I'm going to take those pieces and I'm going to line them up. They will go just like that. Are there any comments coming? Okay, good. You like these little tricks, huh? Yeah, so do I. So, yeah, that's something if you're doing like with a stencil, you can cut out pieces and use the stencil to help you line up where they go. Okay, and then this is the other part of the window. And I'm doing this kind of like in a hurry, so. So it's not going to be as perfect as I would do it, but you get the point. Here's the window that will go on top. Okay. And the other window. And then all I did was I would cut this house out. The outer part, you know, the outer part of this, the template, which is like you would the other templates on a on the house. You know, on any other template, you would trace it and cut it out. So we are gonna, you know, this was just on a card base that I had, but I'm gonna probably, you can pop it up on a card. And since this is a gingerbread house, none of this has to be perfect. You know, it's just, this is like a cookie, you know, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Then the last thing I did was, because I drew with the pencil, I can just now go over all that, erase all that pencil mark, and it's done. I can put my rhinestones on it, or Nouveau drops, which these were red glitter that I used, or you know, your stickles you could put up top, or any of that stuff. You can, and then I went ahead and just drew on. No, I put another red doorknob. It doesn't have to be red, it could be another color, but I put a doorknob on. So it kind of would look like, imagine that window done. Imagine that. So there we have just another version without the rhinestones on. I put the rhinestones somewhere. The red, but obviously you could put any color on. If I wanted to put clear on, you go and put some clear ones on, and all I do there is just put a dab of glue. I'll just put 5 on so you guys can see. And I have a handy dandy little tool, if I can find it. This jewel tool comes in handy when you come to rhinestones. It's called a jewel picker. It looks like this. It's got a tip on it that's kind of rubbery for picking up rhinestones. So I kind of just pour some in. These are a varied size, so I just pick one up and just stick it on. So it's not that hard. It's just harder to find the size you want. So that comes in pretty handy. So I just put 5 on, and I let them dry, and I would just continue to put the rest on those little tips on there. So that is how I made that gingerbread house. Let's see. Let's see if there's any questions on that part of the house. Everybody's talking about the sketchbook. Okay, so that's that one. And then if you want to see The card, I think the card is pretty explanatory as far as this goes. Like I said, with this card, I actually took my gingerbread house and I traced the outside. We're going to do it on this one. I traced the outside with my white pen, and you'll see that it traces pretty well. Okay. And you can certainly do that. Sometimes it tends to skip the pen, but what you can do is like still trace everything the same. So the white pen does work, but it's going to be thinner. And if you want to trace the whole roof, you can do that, and then go back in with the stencil and put what you want on there. And then if it's not dark enough for you, you can go over it with your pen afterwards. And I think this is it. Okay, so here's that with just a thin, fast coat of the white pen. So you could put out a bunch of them, and you could put the roof, the snow on it if you want. You don't have to. You could cut out a different roof from this stencil marks right here out of pattern paper or glitter paper or whatever. So that's basically, and then I just used Frolic 2, which here it is. So I just used Frolic 2 and put it at the, cut the snow out and then added it onto the bottom and tied some string around it. So that went pretty quickly, wouldn't you say? Let's see what you guys say here. The gingerbread accessory set is available today for club members, and if you're not a club member, I think on Friday the 5th, I think the 5th, they become available to everybody else. It's a new release. You do not need to be a club member. They're $15. I'll show you them what comes in the kit again. These are all the pieces. So you got the house, okay, and you have the little stencil, which, like I said, this stencil has little Christmas lights right here if you wanted to make Christmas lights going across your roof. It has like this circle here for this peppermint candy, or I guess it's peppermint candy. I thought this is peppermint candy, so I'm not sure what that would be, but you've seen them before. I don't think I would ever cut out this flower or whatever. I would probably just trace it. The same thing with the snowflake. I would not cut that out. The scallop I used for the roof. These little lines I used for the arms and legs of the gingerbread man. So they would match up on there. This circle, I'm not sure what that's for. This is a gumdrop. I'd have to play around with it a little bit more with that circle and these two, because I'm not sure unless you put just the zigzag across, you know, another cookie or oh, I know what that's for. That's for the holly berries, for the holly cookies. Okay, so that's what that's for. So you get the house, you get the stencil, you get a mitten. That's a cookie with the stencil on it, so you can cut out like a, make it look like a nice cookie. The same thing with this cookie, star cookie. And you get the candy cane, and you get the holly leaf, the gingerbread man, and the candy. And I think that might be where the swirl can go on top of that candy if you want. So there's that set. Are you all ready to see the rest of the set? The other ones that came out, the other sets? Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to get the other templates that are right here and go grab the new book. So give me 1 second. In fact, you can look at them while I'm getting them. Go on. Okay. Here we go. Sorry about that. I didn't know I was going to be doing that. This is my set, so I can open it and show it to you. This is the nativity scene, which here's the I call it the manger, but it's not the manger. It's the come on, my mind went blank. Let's see. Okay, so here is the manger scene. As you can see, it does fit on a card. It's a little tight on the corners, but I think you can trim them fine. And then it comes with the star also, which you can put on top. I've seen it over here on the side. You can put it on your layout, but these 3 pieces came with it. And I have the perfect layout for it. I can't wait to do it. So these are this is the nativity scene. And I believe this is $8 if I'm correct. It is an a la carte. All right. And then I wanted to show you the one I had opened. Okay, and this is placemat number 3. And placemat number 3 is pretty big, because here is here's your 12 by 12 piece of paper, so it fits nicely on that page. And you know, it has places for photos, and it gives you the sizes, and it has, another little tag here you can cut out as a tag if you want. You can layer this by cutting around, drawing this inner part and having, like another color on top, layer on top. It's got little markings here. It's got the word smile. I have my page right here. I'm just going to show you the one side. I'll show you how I did this real quick. This is how it's set up to be like this, but I turned it this way. Okay. Because I had a vertical picture and then I had another picture. I did a 2-page layout, but I have other pictures on the other side, but I wanted to put the title where this picture was on this template. So I just took this little tag and cut out one for each letter of the word of the team that they had on there, Fightin' Phils from Philadelphia, and took that design that they had on here and put it on the sides of my picture, my template, or what do you want to call it, my placemat here. So you can take these elements that are on here and use them differently than just the way the placemat is. Okay, let's see. Oh, I lost the comments. Okay. All right, no comments there. Okay. And the last thing that you guys wanted to see was this sketchbook. And here is the sketchbook. What did that say? Okay. So this is the sketchbook. It has over 180 sketches in the book. And other people on the Craftins are going to be going over all these things all month long, showing you the new release and examples and how they did different stuff. But for example, these are just a bunch of sketches. But what, for example, that they did in the beginning is they took almost the same sketch for inspiration, and they made several different ones from that, layouts from that same sketch. So they showed you how they did that. In the book, they also take a sketch, they show you, and they show you what it looks like as a layout. Okay, and then they give you other ones along with the book. Here's another one that they show you, and the sketch itself. So there's several, and then sometimes they'll show you how it works, in the back. Different layouts. There's a lot of examples of what the sketch looks like with paper. Pretty much, it doesn't necessarily match exactly like their flowers here and feathers. This one matches, pretty much exactly, but some of them they showed you what by changing an element, but it could be still using the same sketch. So I think you would really get a lot out of this book, and have a springboard of going off from there. It doesn't have to match exactly. But that is it. And is that where you take it to Office Depot? Oh yeah, well, yeah, or Staples. I took mine to Staples and had it bound. Hey Jackie. Babysitter by day, creative designer by night. Yes, I did babysit all day today. And I think that's it. So those are the new releases. I showed you how to play with the gingerbread house. Like I said, the cookies are done the same way. It's just fun, you know. You can do whatever you want. Use different materials and things like that, and see what you come up with. It could be as simple as just drawing it and adding a little bit of color to it. It doesn't have to be elaborate. So, are there any questions? And I know we lag a little bit behind, so I'll give you guys a second or two to ask away if there's any questions. Let me go back. So this is what we made. You're welcome, Red. Glad to see you on here. I won't be coming again. Saturday I do my class, so I'm all done there. All right, everyone. Good night, and go ahead and order if you can, if you're a club member. If not, remember later on in the week you can order. They're fun. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.